Hello, welcome to this short training video on Tableau Desktop. The topic of this video is going to be the difference between blue pills and green pills. So the first question you're probably asking is, what's a green pill and what's a blue pill? Now, it's just some common terminology that people use for items that they drag into the view. So for example, in this particular view, I have a blue pill category on my row shelf and a green pill sales on my column shelf. So why is it important to understand the differences between these two types of pills? Well, it's really necessary to know why Tableau does something when we move an item into the view. So if I go over to a new view and I drag in container and place it onto rows, why has Tableau given me a list of all the different container items? Moving a blue pill or a green pill into the view results in different actions. Now, for example, if I drag in sales from measures into my columns, it draws me a bar chart. Why does Tableau do this? Now, you may think that the blue pill indicates a dimension and the green pill indicates a measure, but this is not strictly always true. You can have blue measures and you can have green dimensions. So, what do they actually represent? Well, the different colours represent different data types. The blue colour represents discrete data, and the green colour represents continuous data. So in this example, container, which is blue, is discrete. It has a finite list of members in the field. And you can see in this view, a discrete item also gives us headers or labels or splits up our view into the different items or members of the container field. Continuous data, or the green pills, usually give us infinite data. And by this I mean our sales value could be anything, whereas our containers are limited to the list that we have available. In this example, our continuous data field, sales, has drawn us an axis. So it's drawn us this axis along the bottom of the view. And this has resulted in Tableau drawing us a bar chart. You'll also notice that sales has been aggregated in the view. It's been summed. And that's the default aggregation Tableau uses. And more often than not, when we drag continuous data items into the view, Tableau will try and aggregate them in some way. So, this shows us what happens when we drag blue pills and green pills onto columns and rows. But there's two other places in the view that also produce different results when we drag in either discrete fields or continuous fields. And that's the filter shelf and colour on the marks card. Let's create another view. I'm going to bring in category onto my rows and sales into my columns. Category is blue, it's discrete. It's given us the headers, the labels, it's split our view up. Sales is continuous. It's been summed, it's been aggregated, and it's drawn us the axis at the bottom of the view, which has resulted in the bar chart. Now, if I was to drag department into my filter shelf, I'm going to get a list of possible options. Now, department is discrete data. Again, it has that finite list of possible members in a department. So I have 3 departments: furniture, office supplies and technology. So that gives me a tick list to choose from, and I'm going to tick technology, just as an example. If I press OK, I now only have the categories returned in the view that are in the technology department. Let's remove that filter and instead try a continuous filter. So I'm going to bring sales into my filter shelf. First of all, it asks me if I want to aggregate this item at all. I'm going to sum it. And let's go to next. Now, because sales is continuous, I don't get a tick list of possible items because it could be infinite. Instead, Tableau loads in the minimum and the maximum value that I have in my chart. And then I'm allowed to move the slider or type in a value to say what values I want to filter to. If I press OK, now I have only the categories returned where they meet the filter on sales, so where they are above the minimum amount I set. The last place that the difference between green and blue, discrete and continuous, matters is colour. Let's try bringing in a discrete item onto the colour shelf. Let's bring in department. If I bring department onto colour, because it's discrete, I get a list of the different departments or the different members in department, and each one of those has a discrete colour. So furniture is blue, office supplies is orange, and technology is green. And that's reflected on my chart with the different bars. If I take department off and instead bring profit onto colour, profit is continuous, so it's going to give me a gradient colour instead. And because it's continuous, it has a minimum value and a maximum value, and the colours are gradiented that way. If I edit my colours, you'll notice that I can't pick any discrete colour palettes. I can only pick the divergent ones. And lastly, when I bring in multiple discrete items or multiple continuous items, I get different results as well. So let's start off with department onto rows and sales onto columns. That draws me my bar chart. Now if I bring in category, a second dimension, and in this case again it's discrete, and place it on rows, you'll see that categories are nested inside the departments that they relate to. Let's have a look at what happens when I use multiple continuous fields in the view. So again, I'm going to bring in department and I'll bring in sales, profit, and discount amount into the view. In this case, I don't get a nested effect like I did with the discrete fields. I get a new axis for each continuous pill I've brought into the view. So I hope that's cleared up some of the confusion about the differences between green and blue, and hopefully now you'll have better control over what happens when you bring items into views in Tableau. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.